The bull hit that golf cart like it owed him rent money and had skipped town. Papers flew, a radio shrieked, and Officer Barry, wearing shorts, loafers, and a face full of regret, went flying like a rag doll and landed dead center in a puddle of cow pee. I was halfway through my sandwich when it happened, standing at the fence line, watching with the kind of peace in my chest that only comes when justice arrives wearing horns. That's what happens when you step onto Grandpa Eli's land uninvited, especially during bull-feeding hour, and especially if you're with the HOA. Just 30 minutes before, the whole mess started. 3 of them, clipboard lady, megaphone guy, and Barry, marched right over our fence like they were on some patriotic HOA crusade. Matching polos, clipboards, flyers in hand, like they were preparing for battle against tall grass and unapproved fence heights. I warned them. Really did. Said the bulls were in a mood, hadn't had their sweet corn yet, and this field wasn't the place to throw your suburban weight around. Clipboard lady gave me that tight plastic smile, the kind that says, I took a seminar on conflict resolution and still think I'm better than you. She said they were on official HOA business, like that meant something out here. She walked right into the pasture like it was a yoga retreat, and not 2 feet from 1,000 pounds of muscle and attitude. I turned toward the house. Grandpa was already on the porch, rocking slow, sipping sweet tea like he knew exactly how this was gonna go. I told him, they're in the field. He didn't blink, just stood up, cracked every joint in his body like a shotgun being cocked, and asked, did they ask? When I said no, he set the tea down, nodded once, and said, then it's feeding time. He walked around back and opened the gate. Out came the bulls. Calm, slow, calculated. They weren't charging. Not yet. They were walking like they'd been waiting for this moment their whole lives. Barry pointed, squinting. Are those cows? I almost felt bad. Almost. By the time they realized what was happening, clipboard lady had started screaming. Megaphone guy dropped his equipment, and Barry ran in zigzags like that'd help. She actually threw her clipboard at one of them. It bounced right off, and the bull didn't even flinch, just kept moving. The bulls weren't angry. They were deliberate. That's what made it terrifying. One of them took out the golf cart like it was made of paper. Barry vaulted the fence, landed on his back, shouting something about legal action. Meanwhile, Grandpa just leaned against the fence post, sipping tea like he was watching the weather roll in. Sheriff Connie showed up not long after. 73, dry as jerky. And the only person Grandpa's ever listened to without sass. She looked around. Broken fence, hoof prints, one ruined HOA patrol cart, and asked, did they ask permission? Nope. Did you warn them? Max did. She nodded, took off her sunglasses and said, sounds like they got educated. But the HOA wasn't done. Oh no. They came back the next morning with a camera, a ladder, and a brand new Karen leading the charge. Turns out clipboard lady's real name was Karen Caldwell. Of course it was. They said they were installing surveillance from public view to monitor for threats and code violations. Grandpa didn't say a word, just kept sharpening his hoe on the porch. Then, after about 10 minutes, he stood up, walked to the fence, and asked, calm as ever, you trying to catch my bulls doing tricks, or just hoping they moonwalk for you? Karen didn't blink, said they had every right. Grandpa nodded. You're right. But the scarecrows, those are mine. And there they were. 4 brand new scarecrows. Hideous, human-shaped, and terrifying. One had a clown mask, another a football helmet. The third wore a traffic cone, and the last had a shirt that said, HOA stands for Harass Our Agriculture. Karen demanded they be removed. Grandpa tipped his hat. "By all means, file a complaint." She did, and then some. The HOA sent out an urgent bulletin accusing Grandpa of threatening effigies and visual hostility. He framed it and hung it in the bathroom. But the next move, well, that was ours. The HOA organized their first ever community wellness parade. Lavender-scented yoga mats, a jazz trio. We countered with Fergus. Fergus the bull. Big, slow, dopey Fergus. We tied a glitter sign to his tail that read, "Support local agriculture," slapped some streamers on a wagon, and walked him right down the edge of their parade like we'd been invited. Karen turned purple, called it a deliberate act of aggression. Grandpa just smiled. "You invited the community, didn't you?" Next thing we know, the HOA files for a formal town hearing. Karen brought her son, Toby, as their star witness. Claimed Grandpa had been dumping manure near the HOA's gardens, said he had photos. But see, 3 nights before, I caught Toby sneaking onto our property trying to plant store-bought fertilizer in our barn. He tripped, fell face first into a trough of manure, and I got the whole thing on tape. So when it was our turn at the hearing, I played the footage. The courtroom went silent, except for the sloshing sounds of Toby's boots and cow poop. Even the mayor laughed. The judge suspended all HOA actions for 30 days and said they'd be reviewing HOA authority near agricultural zones, which was code for, "You just lost." But the real kicker came after. We found Grandma's old letters, tucked in a drawer that wouldn't open. Inside? Proof of a conservation easement she'd secured decades ago, co-signed by the then councilman, now Mayor Walter Caldwell, Karen's own brother. The document legally protected our land from rezoning, HOA enforcement, or any kind of building development. And it was still active. We verified it, then leaked it to the local paper. Front page. Grandma's Legacy Blocks, HOA takeover. It blew up. The mayor came by our porch looking like someone had told him church got canceled. Said he remembered the day they signed it. Grandpa didn't even look at him. Just said, "You fix it," in public. And the next morning, in the middle of the town square, he did. Mayor Walter revoked HOA jurisdiction beyond their fence line, declared their actions unlawful, and suspended Karen from leadership. She tried to speak, but he cut her off. "This isn't your platform." It felt like victory, and for a while it was. Grandpa and I stood at the fence that evening, the bulls chewing hay peacefully, scarecrows standing like silent guardians. The sky was all gold and pink, and the field looked more like a monument than land. I asked Grandpa how it felt, winning like that. He didn't say much, just handed me a glass of mint tea and said, "This ain't about winning, Max. It's about remembering what's worth protecting." And that's when it hit me. It was never just about bulls or fences. It was about a way of life, one that doesn't bend to clipboard commands or camera surveillance, one that grows slow, roots deep, and fights back when pushed. Now I'll ask you, was Grandpa right to fight the way he did? Would you have stood your ground if someone tried to turn your land into a spreadsheet? Tell me below, right or wrong, justified or too far. Let's hear it in the comments, because in towns like this, the story never really ends. It just waits for someone to tell the next part.